Hi, my name is Shaleen Chauhan and welcome to my course Understanding and Managing Azure Active Directory on .NET. I am Microsoft MVP, Technical Consultant and Corporate Trainer. Azure AD is a modern identity management system which provides us the directory services, identity management, device registration and data protection. Even Azure AD is useful for implementing the single sign-on functionality and multi-factor authentication. In this course, you will learn about what is Azure AD, what are the Azure AD tiers and pricing we are having. Then you will learn about how the Azure AD is different from the Windows Server AD. Then we talk about the authentication option available in Azure AD. Then authentication scenarios we discuss over there. Then we discuss over here how we can use Microsoft Graph for accessing the Azure AD. Then we talk about the Azure AD reports. And here I will show you here how we can integrate the Azure AD authentication in our ASP.NET Core application. So to get started this training program, the basic understanding of ASP.NET Core is required. And you should have the Visual Studio 2019 as well as Microsoft Azure subscription to do the hands-on. So this is the prerequisite for this training program. I hope you will join me in this journey to learn Microsoft Azure with understanding and managing Microsoft Azure Active Directory on .NET. See you in the next session. Introduction to Azure Active Directory. Now let's understand what is Azure AD. Azure AD is a modern identity management system spanning cloud and on-prem application. It means it can be used with the cloud-based application as well as your on-prem hosted application also. And it is used and Azure AD providing us the directory services, identity management, device registration which we are using in our application, user provisioning, application access control and data protection. So what are the user we are having in our organization? So for the user management, it's helping us in better way. It available in 4 different editions: free Office 365 apps, premium P1 and premium P2. Recently it was available only in 3 editions: basic, free, basic and premium. Now it is available in the 4 different editions: free Office 365 apps and premium as P1 and P2. Even the premium edition guarantee a 99.9% service level agreement. So it is showing the availability of the Azure AD. And now let's see how the Azure AD is helping for the enterprises. So in the enterprises, the Azure AD is helping us to increase the productivity. Because now for the thousands of applications from that enterprise, they don't need to manage the multiple identity. With the help of a single identity, that enterprise partners, that enterprise customer can log in, or you can say can access the thousands of applications of that enterprise. The second one is it is secure. So don't need to worry about the user and the device registration security. Everything is secure and protected by all the necessary things which are recommended by the industry. Even you can manage it at scale, because sometimes it happens few enterprises having the application on their on-prem also, and few applications they are having on the cloud. So cloud can be the Azure, the cloud can be the any other cloud also. It doesn't mean it's only for Azure. So in that case, using the same Azure AD, they able to manage the application which they might host it in the on-prem data center, which they might host it in the cloud also. So this is the way the Azure AD is helping the enterprises in various ways, so that the enterprise easily manage their thousands of applications using the one identity. Azure AD at the control plane. Now let's understand Azure AD as a control plane, so that you are having the complete picture how the Azure AD is helping us to manage the various things. If you look at in the picture, this is the Azure AD which is helping us to manage the on-prem application, which is helping us to manage the cloud-based services and the cloud-based application also. So we can have the Microsoft Azure, we can have the public cloud, We can have the Office 365, we having the SaaS based services. So it doesn't mean it's only for the Microsoft Azure. Your application can be hosted by some other public cloud vendors. It can be AWS, it can be, let's say, Google Cloud. So the Azure AD helping us to provide a simple connection with the on-prem application and the cloud-based services. Even they having the self-service restore also, and they are providing the single sign-on functionality. So using the single identity, you able to access the multiple application for the enterprise. And at the on-prem level, you can have the Windows Server Active Directory, even you can have the Linux Active Directory also. So it's not only for the Windows Server based directory. So Azure AD can work with the Linux Server based directory also. So ultimate goal of Azure AD is here to manage the users for your organization in a better way. So ultimately the user management is going to be simplified after using the Azure AD. Even if you will look at in the real life scenario also, Microsoft itself using the Azure AD to single sign-on into the Microsoft Azure platform, into the Outlook, into the hotmail.com. Everywhere you will find out there is a single sign-on, you will find out. Same thing you will get in the Google based services also. Google also having the single sign-on features where you can log in into the Gmail, you can log into the Google Ad, you can log into the Google AdSense. So what are the product Google is offering? They are also managing through the similar features as the Azure AD is providing to us. Support for single sign-on. Now let's see how the Azure AD is helping us to implement the single sign-on functionality in our application. So Azure AD having the federation based single sign-on. So here the users are automatically signed to the application using their credential from the Microsoft Azure AD. That means you have to create a users at the Microsoft Azure AD label, and what the credential user is having. Using that credential, the user can access into the application. The another option is here we having the password based single sign-on functionality. So user are automatically signed into the application using their credential from the third-party application. So third-party application can be Facebook, it can be Google, like any other application. So these are the two styles are available how the single sign-on functionality can be implemented by the Microsoft Azure AD. Azure AD pricing and tiers. Now let's have a look what are the various Azure AD tiers are available and how the pricing are available. So we having 4 different tiers provided by the Azure AD. We having the free Office 365 apps, premium P1 and P2. If you will look at in the free tier, we having the limit for the objects. So it's a 5 lakhs limit. And in the Office 365 apps, we don't have no limit. Even in premium P2, there is no limit. So initially, if you will look at what are the common features we having for Azure AD, all are supported by all the tiers over there. So the commonly used features is here, let's say single sign-on functionality. We having here user and group management. We having the device management option. We having the self-service password change for the cloud user. We having the password protection. We having the multi-factor authentication. So these are the common things. If you look at more closely, if you're looking at the premium features, so premium features are here, let's say the password protection. We having the password protection for Windows Server Active Directory, self-service password reset, password change, unlock with on-prem write back, group access management. So these are the premium features which are not available in the free and the Office 365 application. So if you're looking for the advanced labor user management, if you're looking for the advanced labor reporting, so such things is available only in the premium edition. Even if you look at the difference between P1 and P2 is here. In P2 we having the identity protection access also. So we having the risk account detection, we having the next level is event investigation. So such thing is available in the premium P2. And if you will look at the pricing wise, free is free here, you don't need to pay anything. And for the Office 365, So whatever the license we having the Office 365 Enterprise E1, E3, E5, F3, you need to pay as per that pricing model. And for the premium P1, this is the pricing here, 396.578 user per month. In premium B2, this is the amount over there you need to pay. And if you are looking for all the set of things, so it's a link here I'm sharing with you. So you can go here Azure Active Directory pricing, where they have mentioned there is no upfront cost, there is no termination fee, and here you are paying only for the users. So here you can select the currency here, Indian, USD, dollar, then we having other information over there. So same picture just taken from this official link, and you can find out at the different level like conditional access, and here identity protection, identity governance, and these are things available here for premium P2. This is a service level agreement, everything I mentioned over there. Windows Server AD versus Azure AD. So sometimes the people compare the Azure AD with the Windows Server AD. Now let's understand the difference between Windows Server Active Directory and the Azure Active Directory. So Windows AD is a poor choice for the multi-platform environment. It means if you are going to manage an application for the Linux Active Directory and the Windows Active Directory, so it is not possible to manage with the help of Windows AD over there, because the cloud-based things are not here managed. So here the Windows Server AD having an issue to control the Linux-based accounts, but in the Azure AD we don't have such issue. So Windows Server AD struggle a lot when connecting to the cloud-based server and application. So it doesn't mean the Windows Server AD cannot be used with the cloud-based application. You can use over there, but it's not as straightforward. You need to struggle a lot over there. So Azure AD is a best solution over there whenever you are looking for a multi-platform environment, and even when you are looking for managing the Linux-based account as well. Because the Azure AD can be used with the on-prem application, it can be used with the cloud-based application to implement or to manage the user accounts over there. Even Azure AD having the multi-factor authentication support, because nowadays what happening, instead of logging, we having the facility to send the OTP on the mobile number to make the security more better. So when the user will log in with the account, so he will get the OTP. Until the user will not enter the OTP, user will not able to access the account. So such thing is supported by the Azure AD over there. So Azure AD is easy to scale for internet based application. So these are the differences you should consider between the Windows Server AD and the Azure AD. Azure AD user account. So now let's see how we can access the Azure AD, or how we can create the user account to access it. So it is supporting the two types of account here, Microsoft account and the work account. So Microsoft account can be a home or personal account which you might created using the Outlook, using the hotmail.com, or for the organization, for work account it will be an account created by the organization. So whatever the company you are using, so the company will provide the organization level account. So usually it is having on the official email ID, so through which we can access the things. So in case of Microsoft account, you will have access to the private benefit like OneDrive, Office 365, Live, Xbox, and etc. These are the for personal purpose. You can use all these services from the Microsoft itself. In work account, obviously the account will be created by the administrator in your company. So what are the application your company is having, only those things you can access over there. So in case of Microsoft account, you having the automatically and transparently federated security. In the work account, it is associated with the own Microsoft.com by default. So what are the company domain usually you are having? Let's say if we having the domain, let's say .netx.onmicrosoft.com, it would be associated like this way. If let's say some other company XYZ, so it would be like this way, xyz.onmicrosoft.com. So this is the way how the account you can use over there to access the Microsoft Azure AD. So either go ahead with the Microsoft account, either go ahead with the work account. So here in this training program, I will go ahead with the Microsoft account because I'm having a personal account. Using that, we will access the Microsoft Azure AD. Protocol support. Now let's see what are the various protocols the Microsoft Azure AD is supporting over there. So we having here the WS Federation support, we having here XAML P 2.0 support, OAuth 2.0 support, OpenID Connect support, and all these protocol you can find out in your directory when you will go into the app registration. So just go to the app registration and you will find the option over there endpoint. So click on the endpoint and you will find out whether the various protocol support is there. So you can see in this picture I'm having the OAuth 2.0 support, I'm having here Federation support, I'm having here XAML P support. So all those endpoints are available over here. So one of the endpoint you can use as per the protocol you are willing to use to implement. Apart from that one, you should understand what are the protocol we should use in a particular authentication scenario. So if you're looking at where we should use WS Federation and XAML. So use cases here when you're having a web application which you're running through the web browser. So then you can use the WS Federation and XAML for authentication purpose. Or you can use here OAuth 2.0 or OpenID Connect if you are dealing with the single page application, if you're having a native application to web API, because sometimes we build the mobile application, there we access the API behind the scene to retrieve the data. So there we can use the OpenID Connect or OAuth 2.0. Even we can use this one in case of we having a web UI or like web application where you are willing to access the REST API behind the scene. So in that case also we can use it here, and we having a service application to access the web API. So ultimately whenever you are going to access the web API, either from the mobile app, either from the web application, either from the single page application which you build using the Angular and the React. So there the recommended option is here, you should use OAuth 2.0 or OpenID Connect for managing the authentication. So these are the scenarios which will help you when you're dealing with the authentication using the Microsoft Azure AD and available various protocols over there. Introduction to Microsoft Graph. So Microsoft Graph actually nowadays is commonly we use for accessing the various things. So now let's understand how the Microsoft Graph is helping us to use it in our application. So Microsoft Graph provides us a unified programming model to access the data in Microsoft 365 base application, in Windows 10 and enterprise mobility and security. So everywhere you will find out the Microsoft Graph can be used. So Microsoft offering Microsoft Graph as a unified programming model to access the data in various services that Microsoft is offering to us. So this is an example for the Microsoft Graph where you will find out what are the various things you can manage using this common API. So if you will look at, you can manage the calendar, you can manage the chat, user, device, people, messages, meetings. So you can see everything can be managed using the Microsoft Graph, whatever the things are offered by the Microsoft here. So it's a common programming model. So Microsoft Graph helps us to build the application for the organization and consumer that interact with the millions of users. So what are the application you are using? So basically you need to integrate over there various APIs and the various things. So there Microsoft Graph will help you. So Microsoft Graph API is a RESTful web API that enables you to access the Microsoft Cloud Service resources. So as we use the REST API, similar way the Microsoft Graph API can be used to manage all the things as mentioned, or you can say it's shown in the picture over there. So here also I will use here how we can use the Microsoft Graph for managing our Azure AD. A demo for creating an application in Azure AD to be used. So now let's see how we can use Azure AD for dealing with the authentication using our application. So before that, we need to create an application so that we can use it and provide the various permission. So here I'm just going to log in into my account. I'm already logged in over there, so it directly redirecting me to my dashboard. So if you will look at here, this is my Azure AD. So what are the email ID you are having over there? So what are the email ID you will have? Based upon the email ID, it will create a default directory for us. If you will look at my default directory, code is mentioned over there, D955C2423-, then we have something like this way. And it is using the domain, let's say proshalin@gmail.onmicrosoft.com. So this is my email ID actually over there. But if it is a company account, so you will find out over there xyz.onmicrosoft.com, and it can be any other company name. So this is the way how the Microsoft Azure AD is provided to us. So this is my default directory over there, and here we having the option for app registration. This is the one. So what are the application I created before? I can see here in the list I'm having only one owned application. If you look at the all application, so I'm having various application over there which I created for my various purpose. So few application I created for the DevOps, few I created for testing purpose. So what I'm going to do here, there is option here to create a new app registration. So usually what are the application which we are going to use in the application to implement the identity management? Here we need to register. So let me click on the plus icon and then define our application name. I'm defining my application which is DNT web app ready. So make sure this name is not already available. So in my case, it is not already available. It is showing me the right check. Then there is option here, the supported account type. So we having a single tenant, we having here multi-tenant, and we having here any Azure AD directory with multi-tenant and a personal account, like where you can access here from the Skype and the Xbox, and it is the availability for the personal Microsoft account. So one of the option we can use here to provide the accessibility. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just going to use here with the single tenant. I'm not taking the example of multi-tenant. So let's go ahead with the single tenant. Then there is option here for redirect URI. So basically we will have a web application. So after the login, where you want to redirect the user over there. So this picture would be clear when actually I will integrate with my ASP.NET Core application. That time the picture would be more clear. So right now I'm not giving any redirect here because I don't have anything. So you can see there is being the option for web application, single page application, and we having here for mobile and the desktop client. So right now anything you can mention over there. Let's say I'm mentioning here, let's say HTTP, and for the local one it would be, let's say, local host, and then you can mention the port number, any random port number I'm giving here. Later on I will change it when I will create my application. Let's say to this location we will redirect the user after the login. So obviously when you will try to access the application, it will ask for the login. So the login would be done at the Microsoft official Azure AD login page, and after the login it will redirect to this location. So let me register the application over there. So application has been created here successfully, you can see. So this is my display name, this is my application ID, that, or you can say it is a client ID. We having the directory ID, that is a tenant ID. So when we are saying the tenant means it's a directory. Then we having the object ID, and here you can see we having here one application, and this is the redirection option also we have given over there. And the account type support is here only for my organization. It means from the outside you cannot log in to the application which we have registered over there. But if you're willing to log in from other organization as well, so you need to enable it here, whether you are willing to enable for others application or not. So let's understand with the basic one so that it's easier to understand it. Demo for adding the permission to Microsoft Graph API so that we can manage the Azure Active Directory through the Microsoft Graph. So for this one now, let's have a look what are the permission we need to provide to the Microsoft Graph API. So what are the application recently we created over there? So at the application label, we having the option for providing the permission for Microsoft Graph API, and there you will find out the delegated permission and you will find out the application permission. So here I will give here the application permission, and the application permission, what the various permission I will provide over there. I will provide here to read the directory information, and through the Microsoft Graph we will able to create the user also. We are able to read the user profile also. Even if you are willing to invite the user information, such thing you can also provide over there. It's up to you what are the various things you are willing to do with the help of Microsoft Graph API. So based upon the permission you can provide over there. So this is the way how we can provide the permission. Now before providing the permission, let's have a look how the delegated permission and application permission are different from each other. So if you look at the delegated permission, allow an application in Azure AD to perform the action on behalf of a particular user. So what are the particular user is going to be used there. So on the behalf of that particular user, the delegate permission is going to be used in the application label to perform those actions. But if you will use the application permission, so the application permission allow an application in Azure AD to act as its own entity. It means now I don't need any user to perform the action over there. Now that based upon that application, all the action can be performed. So these are different between the delegated permission and the application permission over there. So now let's see how we can provide the permission. So there is option here API permission, and by default if you look at, we having the Microsoft Graph where we having the read permission and the type is here delegated. So there is the option here to add the permission. Then you will get the Microsoft Graph, select over there for Microsoft Graph. Then we have here delegated permission, we have here application permission. So what I will do here, I will go to the application permission, and here I just make a search for users permission at Active Directory level. You can see we having here various types of user, but I will look for especially for users, this one. So you can see the users, we can read, we can write. Even if you are willing to mention over there invite, you can mention invite also. If you are looking for managing the identities, you can select managing the identities option also. So what I will do here, I will read the user information, even we will create the user also from there. So these two permission I'm just going to provide over there. And if you look at, we have provided the permission, but still if you look at, we have not provided the complete grant, or you can say the complete permission over there. So there is option here grant admin consent for this default directory. So this one I need to select over there. Then yes, it is providing the access completely. So now the access is granted. So now we are ready to go ahead to manage it from the Microsoft Graph API. So in the next video, I will show you here how we can use the Microsoft Graph API to manage the Azure AD. Microsoft Graph API for accessing the Azure AD. So now let's see how we can use the Microsoft Graph API for accessing the Azure AD users and how we can create them also. So in the last video, we just added the permission to Microsoft Graph API. So now based upon that permission, we can manage it. So for this one, first of all, we need to request a token for the Microsoft Graph API. So that token I can access using the Postman. So therefore Postman, we can make a request to the Microsoft Azure AD, and this is a parameter we need to pass over there. If you will look at, I'm making here post request, and this is the URL I will use over there, and this is the same exact information to pass. The grant type, client ID would be here based upon your application ID. So application ID would be the application ID which we actually created. Then we having the client secret which we need to create, and as a resource I'm using here the Graph API. And to get the information about this client ID, and this one. Such information you can find out over there when the application you will create. So let's get it started. So this is my application where we last time added the permission. So let's go to here to application overview, and in the application overview you can see we having the client ID and we having the tenant ID. So I need to use a client ID. So let me use here the postman, and the postman I need to use here a endpoint. So I need to make here the post request, and let me find out the endpoint for the application. So these are the endpoints are available, and here you can use the endpoint OAuth version v2, or you can use the OAuth version v1 here. So what I will use here, I will use here this OAuth version v1. So let me copy this URL. So it would be decided based upon your application, so make sure you are copying it right. So let me mention in the postman, I just mention it in the postman. Now just to mention here the body. In the body I need to use here this x-www form URL encoded. Then need to pass here key and value. So the first key would be here for grant type. So for the help, what I have done, I just mention here this nodes. So here I can mention a grant underscore type. So let me mention here key, and then value would be here exactly same. Client underscore credential. Let me mention over there. The second parameter here we having here client underscore ID. So let me mention here client underscore ID, and this value, that value we need to copy from our application. Like this is a client ID. Let me copy, don't mention over there. The third parameter is here for client secret. So I need to mention here the client underscore secret. So client secret we have not created so far. So we having the option here for secrets and certificates, and there is option in new client secret. Define the name for the secret. So this is the name, and this is the validity you can mention over there. It's a validity mentioning for 1 year, and this value you have to copy when you have created, because after that you cannot copy it value. So I just copied the value, and let me mention over here, and after that we need to mention over there the resource. So the resource, it would be here graph.microsoft.com. So let me copy and do mention here resource. So make sure you are using here the v1 version, not the v2, because in v2 we don't have the resource option, we have in the some other option. So I'm just using here as per the v1. So let me try to make the post request. When I'm making the post request, I'm getting the such type of error here. So if you look at here, I'm getting the sign in page actually I'm getting here. The reason here I didn't copy this URL properly. By mistake I just copied here the authorized URL, because if you look at, we having actually over there two endpoint. One is here for token and another one is here for authorize. So here I'm requesting the token. So I need to copy the token URI, not the authorized URI. So this is my token URI. Let me copy the token URI and do mention over there. This is the mistake I did. And let me make the post request again. And this time you can see I'm able to get the bearer token. And this is the token value. So let me copy the token value here so that I can use it in the next request. So what I'm doing here, I'm just going to paste this token value in a notepad so that I can use it in the next request. And this is a bearer token. So the token we have received now I can make a request for retrieving the user list. So for reading the user list, this is the option available. So we can use here the graph.microsoft.com/v1.0/user, then pass the content type and then pass the authorization. This is the URL which you can refer to get the information about the Microsoft Graph version v1. So here we have being the option here for v1 reference. So let's go to the v1 reference, and we have the option for users, and here there is option here to list users. So this URL we need to access, and here this is the option here for making the get request. So let me copy it and let's add a new tab. This way I mentioned. Then the header I need to mention here the content type. Content type would be here applications like JSON. Then authorization header, it would be here bearer token I'm passing here. Then token value. So this is the token value which I saved. Now let me mention. So what I'm doing, I'm just trying to fetch all the users which I'm having at the Azure AD level. Let me make the request. And you can see I'm able to get all the users which are available at the Azure AD level. I'm having the user as Mohan and having the user as Shailendra. So 2 users are available. Let me verify whether these users are available or not. So we having the option here for default directory, and go to here the option for users. If you look at the users label, we having only 2 users, Shailendra and Mohan. If you are willing to add a new user, from here you can add a new user. Even you can invite the another user also. In the next session I will show you here how we can add a new user using the Microsoft Graph API. Creating user using Microsoft Graph API. So in the previous session we just see how we can retrieve the user list from the Azure AD. So now let's see how we can create a user through the Graph API. So here for creating the user, we need to make the post request, and there we need to pass the user information along with these mandatory fields. Like we having the account enabled true so that the user can log in, display name, we having the nickname, we having the user principal name, and we having a password profile. So this option is optional here. Let's say force change password next sign in. So whenever this user will log in, if you want to force the user to change the password, you can make it enable true. Otherwise you can leave it as it is. Then mention the password by using the special character, numbers, and the small case letter. So these are the things you need to pass. Apart from this, make sure you are passing the token also. So let's see how we can create this user. So this is my postman. So the same URL I can use here for making the post request over there, and make sure you're passing the header also. So it would be here authorization header as bearer and token value. So let me copy the token value and do mention over there. And in the body section I will use here raw format and the application JSON. So value here would be similar to the value which we have received over there. Let's say display name, given name, we having the user principal name. So these various things we need to pass over there. So what I'm doing here, I'm just going to use a object for Rohan which I copied, and here what I'm doing here, I'm just going to enable the account. This is the display name, this is the mail nickname, this is the job title. It is optional here. If you want to mention, you can mention it. And then user principal name Rohan and my Active Directory domain over there. Now let's make a post request and send it. So here you can see it has been created successfully because it is returning to me status code as 201. You can find out this is my created user. Even you can verify by looking into your user list of the Azure Active Directory. Let's refresh it, and you can find out now Rohan has been added over there. So Rohan @proshailendra@gmail.onmicrosoft.com has been added successfully. Even the user you can also add directly from the Azure AD UI also. So from here also we having the option for the plus icon, and then we having the option to create a new user by using the same Active Directory which we are having. Even we can invite a guest user. a user which already having the account on the Gmail, Outlook, like yahoo.com. So you can invite them, they will accept the request and will join the Azure AD. So from here, let's create a new user which we created from the Microsoft Graph API. So this time, let's say I'm adding a user here, let's say Kishan. Let's say name, let's say Kishan Kumar. This is the full name I mentioned here. Let me mention the first name and the last name. So we entered here correctly, then do mention password. So password can be auto generate, and the password you can mention yourself also. Let's make it auto generate, and this is the auto generated password. You can see, if you're willing to copy, you can copy and save it somewhere, so that you can save it with that user which you are creating over there. And if you're willing to assign any group to this user, from here the group can be assigned. So right now I have not created any group, so I'm not assigning it any group, and this is the default role we are giving to a user. Then this is the option here. Do you want to block the sign in for this given user? No, the user can log in. Sometimes it happens from a specific location, the user sign in you are willing to block. So from here the user sign in can be blocked from a specific location. Let's say Pakistan, or like some other location, the user login can be blocked. Then job title, let's say SE, department, let's say ID. Let's create it. So this is the way how the user can be created directly from the Azure Active Directory UI, or either you can use this Microsoft Graph API. So obviously when you will use at the application level, so this is style you can use for creating the user. So instead of directly creating the user from the UI, the better way is here using a Microsoft Graph API. It can be created, it can be retrieved, and these can be managed. So this is the way how the Microsoft Graph API is helping us for managing the Azure Active Directory in a easy way. Web app authentication using Azure AD. So let's see how the web app we can authenticate with the help of Azure AD. So let's say you have built an application. So when the user will try to log into the application, so sign in page will serve by the Azure AD over there. So user will log in through the sign in page served by the Azure AD. Then Azure AD will return a token. And this token, every time the user will send in the request to access our actual application over there. So the authentication workflow is going to be work when you are using the Azure AD. Now let's understand it in a detailed activity workflow. So this is a detailed activity workflow. So when the user will try to navigate the web application, so web application will serve the sign in page through the Azure Active Directory. Now the user will sign in through the Azure Active Directory login page. Then Azure Active Directory will provide the token. The token will be saved at the browser level. So now every time when the user will access the website pages, so that token will be used over there, and the token is the authenticated token which is providing the access to our application pages. So this would be the workflow if you're willing to implement the login through the Azure AD into your web application. So here the web application you can build using the ASP.NET MVC5 or using the ASP.NET Core. So what I will show you here, I will show you the example of how the ASP.NET Core application we can build using the Microsoft Azure AD authentication. So next video I will show you integrating Azure AD authentication in ASP.NET Core web application. So for this one, what I'm doing here, I'm just using here Visual Studio 2019. So let me open here Visual Studio 2019, and now let's create a new project over there. I'm creating here a ASP.NET Core web application. So this is a template available. Now let's go to the next button and define a project name. So what I'm doing here, I'm just going to create a new project so that everything we will set up from the Visual Studio. If you remembered, previously we created the project directly through the portal. So from the portal also we created the app, and the app re-registered over there. So this time what we are doing, the app registration we will do from the Visual Studio. So I'm defining my application name, let's say DNT ASP.NET App AD. So any name you can give it to. I'm just giving here the name as DNT ASP.NET AD. Let's say make it AD. Define the location here, let's say location here desktop, then it is here. We having the code and weekdays. Now let me click here on the create button. Then here the most important setting which you need to do here, that is for authentication. And if you will look at, I'm using here the ASP.NET Core 3.1, but you can use other options also. Now just change the authentication, and here I'm just using here work or school account. So I'm already logged in with the same the credential which I'm using in my portal. So make sure you have logged into the Visual Studio using the same credential where you are having the Microsoft Azure account. So we having the domain over there. Let me select here the read directory data checkbox and just click on the OK button. So what it will do here, when you will click on the create button, it will create the organization. So when you will click on the OK button, what it will do, it will add an application over there. If you will check it out, it's added here application, I'm sure. So just go to the app registration page again. Then we having the option here for all application. In the whole application, you can see we having application here DNT ASP.NET AD. So this is the new application, it's created over there. So this is my client ID, or you can say the application ID. This is the tenant ID. This information you can check it out in the app settings.json. So in the app setting.json, we having the Azure AD information. So if you will look at here, this is my domain, this is my tenant ID, and this is my client ID. So tenant ID here DCA and client ID is here BAE. We can verify here, we having a DCA and client ID we having a BAE. So perfectly it is representing the same thing. And if you will look at to the redirect URI, so this is the redirect URI where it is containing the same port number where my application will run. If you want to verify, you can verify here by looking at the properties launch settings. So this is the way, if you will look at, it's created here the one application and it is here for my organization only. And this is the application URI it would be. And apart from this, if you will look at, we having here a startup file where it's configure our Azure AD integration. You can see it's added here a service here for authentication using the Azure AD, and here it's just using the options over there for policy. So we are just using here the authorized filter. So what will happen when you will try to access the application home page, because right now we having only one controller home, and this home controller we just decorated using the authorize. So any action in this controller we cannot access without the login, because the authorize we applied at the controller label. Only one action which you can access directly without the login, that is error, because here we just using here allow anonymous filter. Now send the application to check the behavior. So it is, we have not done anything, everything done by the Visual Studio itself to set up the Azure AD integration login in our ASP.NET Core application. So let's run the code to check it out. So you can see when I'm trying to access my application home page, it is redirecting me to the login page. So from here you can pick an account. So make sure whatever the user you are selecting, that user is the part of our directory. If you will look at in the directory, we having these users Shailendra, Rohan, Mohan, Kishan. So one of the user you can use to log in into your application. So I'm using this user itself. So it is having the user pro.shailendra@gmail.com. So just to mention your password also. And you can see I'm getting here hello live.com and then my email ID perfectly. Now you can go here and there in the application, because now we have logged in. If you will sign out here, it will do the sign out using the Azure AD. and again come back to the local page over there. So this is the way how the Azure AD integration we have done with the Alphabet Studio wizard easily. It's very simple way. Multi-factor authentication. Even you can enable the multi-factor authentication when the user is going to log in. So multi-factor authentication feature is available in the premium version of Azure AD. So multi-factor authentication is a method to authenticate the user more than one verification method. So these options can be used using the mobile application. It can be done using the automated phone call. It can be done using the text messages. And this is the workflow we having over there. When the user is going to log in using the username and the password, then the Azure AD initiate the multi-factor authentication process. There either user will get a text message, a code like OTP, or user will get the phone call for the OTP. Then user will enter the received OTP or like received OTP through the phone call, and after that user will able to log into the system. And to enable it, you need to just find out the option over there at the directory level. So if you will look at the directory level, we having the option here for multi-factor authentication. So to enable the multi-factor authentication at the directory level, you need to go into the security option. So there is a security. Then you will find out I'm having the option here for multi-factor authentication. Just click over there, and to use it I need to enable the premium features, but somehow what are the account I'm having there, I cannot enable the premium features, so it's not going to allow to me. So here you can enable the multi-factor authentication in your application level. So after that you can decide whether you need to make a call, whether you need to text a code over there, so that the user will enter that OTP to log into the system. So obviously you need to mention over there the user contact detail so that the user can receive the OTP. So this is about the way how you can enable the multi-factor authentication from the portal. Azure AD company branding. So obviously when you are dealing with the enterprise grade application, so you should mention your own company logo, you should mention your own company terms and policy and various others graphics, so that the user will not experience I'm on the different website. So Azure AD branding option is available in the premium edition. It is not available in the free and the Office 365 edition. So the pages which you can customize here, let's say sign in page, access panel page, component which you can page, let's say banner logo you can mention over there the large illustration in the left hand side of the sign in page, and background color obviously you can change as per the theme, as per your logo, and the sign in page text also you can change. So these are the various things we can design as per our company logo, as per our company web page theme, so that the user feel it is from our website. So let's see where this option is available in the Azure AD to do it. So when you will go into the default directory and you will scroll down, you will find out the option here for company branding. There is option here for company branding, but for this one I need to convert it to the premium, because right now I don't have the premium option over there. So let me enable here the premium trial option. So this is my free trial. Let me activate the free trial. It will be available for 30 days. So it has been enabled now. Let me refresh it. So the thing is here in my plan, actually whatever the account I'm using, there I cannot go for the premium trial option because it is not going to give me the permission. So it is not activated, but from here the things are mentioned over there simply. So just mention your brand logo, your brand terms and condition page, and various things are mentioned over there so that it will look like it is from your website. So this is the way how the company branding you can mention over there at the login page offered by the Azure AD. Azure AD reports. So let's see how we can generate the report from the Azure AD for user activity login and for device login and various other reports actually we need. So what we can do here, the Azure AD reports you can categorize into two parts: security reports and operational reports. So in the security reports, what are the various reports you can generate? You can generate the rule-based report based upon the sign-in from the unknown sources, sign-in after the multiple failures, sign-in from the multiple geographies, even the specialized information you can find out, like say sign-in from possible infected devices, like sign-in from IP address with suspicious activity. Even we having the option for machine learning also, because in the premium we having the option for irregular sign-in activity if you want to track. So such type of reports can be generated from the Azure AD for tracking the information about your application. Even it is mandatory from the perspective of security. The second one is here operational reports, where you can find out the activity report for audit, password reset activity, password reset registration activity. We having the application management level reports also, that's application uses, account provisioning activity, account provisioning errors. So these are the various types of reports can be generated from the Azure AD, so that you can look into in detail what is happening with my application, what are the various users are accessing it here, and how many users are trying to reset the password. So these things are required for tracking purpose. Demo for Azure AD reports. So let's see from where we can generate all these types of reports. So this is my Azure AD, and if you look at here at the Azure AD label, we having the monitoring section. In the monitoring section we can generate the report for the sign-in activity. So these are the people who just sign in at this from this IP address, and this is a location over there. So from here I can download this report in the CSV format or like in the JSON format. So this is the way how the sign-in activity report you can download. So this is the way it's downloaded here, and we having the audit report also. So from here you can find out the audit report. So here you can select all the services. Let's say we having the access review, we having the application proxy, account provisioning. So various types of service you can select. Based upon that you can find out the audit reports over there. Even we having the other logs reports also. So from here you can find out the other log reports, but make sure you have enabled here the log analytics to check it out here. So here I have not enabled it, that's why not looking to me. And this is about the uses. So this is about the uses of the application. From here we can look into. So whatever the application you are using, let's say I'm using ASP.NET 80. So this application user report can be downloaded from here. So to look into the application by, you can see this is sign-in activity. For the application wise, we having here users insight. It is showing me the user insight. Application wise, we having the audit log. But the last time I just shown to you, that was at the directory level. Now these are reports at the application level. So basically you will look into the reports at the application level. So this is the way at the application level. The provision log you can find out over there, access review you can find out over there. So the reports I just told you in the PPT, same reports can be generated at the application level from here.